this is why like so much of like the Overwatch 2 educational stuff is like so bad, because it's all about like, you know, carry, yeah, carry,
Yeah,
and pop off and get picks and stuff like that. Once you have this amount of distraction, if you try to get kills here, you're trolling.
I'm not exactly sure how to maximize my uptime and be getting consistent value. Like for example, like if I see Ana burnt sleep and you know she doesn't have her other supports occupied, and you know maybe she doesn't have DPS to peel for her, I can die for her, right? And that's like a pretty easy kill. But you know, if their backline is just like really kind of tight, I feel like there's a lot of times in which I can't really do much more than just sort of hang around on the flanks and like poke people and tickle them.
Sure. Pressure versus picks. Okay. Basically, the idea is that if it's a pick, let's say it's a pick, it's a 1 versus 1, because you're playing Tracer, right? So like, I don't care if it's freaking Moira. If you 1v1 any hero in the game, you should be able to beat that hero in the 1v1 most of the time. So if it's a 1v1, you win the fight by sustaining and keeping up the 1v1, and you win the fight. Nice shot. Congratulations.
Right.
But this is where the pressure part gets really important, because you said about like, what do I do when they're all grouped up, or like maybe there's not an easily assassinatable target. What's the mindset? Well, first off, we have to define what is pressure, right? What is pressure? What was your best definition of it?
I would say taking actions that force either repositioning or cooldowns that deplete the resources.
Exactly. It's basically saying, hey, I'm going to kill you. I might kill you. Look at me. And it's not just a repositioning. It's not just cooldowns. So those are two of the most important things. It's also tension, right? When they're looking at you, they're not looking at your team. And so what happens is a lot of these times, if we assign a random number to this, a lot of time pressure usually is like a 2v1 situation. But what I mean by that is like that Kiriko Mercy example that you were giving me here, where you're like, you know, when there's a Mercy pocking the Kiriko and Kiriko pocking the Mercy, what am I supposed to do? What do I do? Shoot them. Shoot them. Because at that point in time, it's not reasonable for you to get a kill, but it's a 1 versus 2, and all you need to do at that point in time is to bring another term that you're using, uptime. Keep shooting them, shoot them for a long time, juke, hide, shoot, juke, hide, shoot, because eventually you will allow your team to capitalize off of a 4 versus 3. And this might be a 2v1, or it might be a 3v1, or it might be a 4v1. And the idea is that as long as it's at a good time where your team can actually shoot the enemy team as well, then you're going to capitalize off of that. And Tracer is phenomenal at both of these, because you're going to put out a lot of pressure because you can get kills, right? People go, oh yeah, she can 1v1 me, so I have to look at her. But then the other reason why she's so good at this is because there's other heroes that are good at getting kills, right? Reaper can one-shot you, right? But the difference between you and a Reaper is you can stay, and you can stay, and you can stay, and you can juke, and you blink, and you recall, and you juke, and you grab a health back, and you come right back again. And you're not only doing that from the front line, you're doing it on the back line. And the reason why that's important is not only does that allow you better 1v1s because of the squishies and the DPS that you're going to find in the back line, but more importantly, just from a logistical, from like a mechanical standpoint, because for them to deal with you, they have to turn around, right? And moving your mouse and turning our cameras reduces their awareness of what's happening in the rest of the battlefield. And so you get the advantage just from that side of things. So whenever you find yourself in a 2v1, 3v1 scenario, or in a versus a composition that you don't feel like you can really assassinate anybody, Moira, Lucio, Reaper, Sombra, Winston, who am I one-shotting here? It doesn't matter. But those very same compositions don't have the burst damage to kill you. So if you get on an off angle and you're shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting, you could do that for years. Whereas compositions that you can easily 1v1, like let's say there's a Zenyatta, right? The Zenyatta either dies to you or you die to him, right? And I like this angle, right? Now, here's a question. Is this pressure or picks?
This is pressure.
Pressure, right? You're not going to get a kill here.
Yeah, so I think at the time I was hoping for a kill on the Life Weaver, but either way, I think it's still good, right?
It is good, right? But then the reason that I'm asking that question is then how do you play right now?
You don't commit too many resources.
You want to live here, use this cover, use this mini, bait their attention. Oh no, they're looking at me, I'm gonna hide, you know, wait. This is what you want. So this is good. Picks. Why?
Because this guy's isolated, he has less than half his health bar. I'm pretty sure he just burnt roll.
Yep. And there you go. So if it's a 1v1, And it's a 1v1 where you have full resources and he doesn't. GG's.
And my aim
pressure picks.
Pressure.
Especially without the recall, right? So this is way too aggressive.
This is it's a bad
way
play.
Too aggressive. Unless he's low, you're way too aggressive. So I imagine you either will die or
yeah.
Because this is the thing. Like, you think it's a strict 1v1, but first off, you should know it's not. And the second thing is you're not really at an advantage in this 1v1 because you're down a blink and down your recall, and he's full HP.
Right.
So Tracer wins every 1v1, but there's an asterisk. She needs all the resources, right, to win most 1v1s. If this guy was half HP, different story. If this guy didn't have stick, different story. If this guy was, I don't know, like if you had another blink, even just another blink here, maybe a different story.
Like if I'm in this situation, I'm still thinking in terms of picks. I'm still mostly thinking in terms of like whether I get a kill, and I kind of invest my resources as such when I probably could have just done a little less here. Better off.
Well, and even right now, you're getting a monstrous amount of pressure. What is your #1 goal right now?
Distracting them.
Survive, right? You distract them, survive.
survive.
You already have distracted them. Like what do you think is going to happen to this queen in the next 5 seconds?
She's going to get melted.
She's dead, right? This is why like so much of like the Overwatch 2 educational stuff is like so bad. Because it's all about like, you know, carry, pop off and get picks and stuff like that, and like, but really,
watch me out aim gold players.
Right, like once you have this amount of distraction, if you try to get kills here, you're trolling. Because what's going to happen is their queen's going to die, and you're going to die, and you might be like, oh, it's a 1-for-1 trade, right? You know, so like right here, why are you blink recalling?
Again, like I'm still thinking in terms of picks when
you should be running. And obviously we could see through walls, which is a little bit cheating. However,
I definitely was aware of this.